Brush Break, we've got news from around the Disneyland Resort, news on Magic Keys, news from Tomorrowland, Rogers the Musical, and we finally got a closing date for Splash Mountain.
And that scene behind you tells you that we are doing this news update live on location here at Disneyland. I was here to do some other stuff, so I thought I'd shoot this news video from here as well. The first thing that I want to talk about, the first really cool news, is that Magic Key sales have resumed. They resumed yesterday, still ongoing today. As of now, we are still well into the hashtag more than an hour club, by the way. I was in the queue for a good 3 hours or so before I finally was able to see the tickets which was available for sale. Interesting is that the website, as you're waiting, the loading page, the more than an hour page, it indicates that all 4 passes are available for sale. The Inspire Key, the Believe Key, the Enchant Key, and the Imagine Key. Now that's interesting. I mean, it's great news that we're selling Magic Keys again, but even better news that all 4 were available. If I recall, the Enchant Key was not available the last time they started selling them. I think that the thinking was that they were trying to phase it out or replace it, with a different pass. But it does look like it's available for sale now. Once you get into the purchase page, though, note that the Believe Key is not for sale. It's eligible or available for renewal only. You can only renew a Believe Key. You can't buy a Believe Key. So perhaps that is a key now that they're thinking about phasing out, which I guess if you were to try to say which is the most valuable key, that might be the best value because it's basically the same as the Inspire Key without the full price for parking. And that's it, I think. I'm trying to remember all the details for the keys, but it used to be that you got the extra 2 weeks during Christmas with the top tier key, but that is no longer the case anyway. Even the Inspire Key is blocked out for 2 weeks at Christmas.
Now, for those of you who are looking to get a Magic Key, you may have noticed on that splash screen, the more than an hour splash screen, that there are a couple of items worth noting. First of all, they paused the queue at night. This is something, I don't know if they did this before. It's the first time I recall seeing this. At 10 p.m. Pacific, the virtual queue is paused. Now, it's not like it's a long wait anyway, but for that, for whatever it's worth, they pause it at 10 p.m. Pacific, 1 a.m. Eastern, and then they resume it no sooner than 9 a.m. Pacific the next morning. So wherever you are in the queue at that point, that's where you'd be the next morning. So assuming you get through the virtual queue, once it's your turn, once the queue triggers you, you've got 10 minutes. 10 minutes to enter the site. Not 10 minutes to purchase an annual pass, but 10 minutes to enter the site and begin the process of purchasing your annual pass. And that's about when you'll notice that you can only renew the Believe Key. You can purchase the Inspire, you can purchase Enchant, and you can purchase Imagine, but you can't purchase Believe, only renewal. Finally, note also that it looks like prices haven't changed. They didn't announce anything, although I had heard a rumor that they were talking about it, but this is not price increase season, as it were. Well, actually, I think we passed price increase season. Normally it's like February. Did we get through February without them increasing prices? I can't remember now. But prices appear to be the same. I just feel like the Magic Keys are a tremendous value for anyone. Be that locals or people from out of town, as long as you're visiting the requisite number of times, it's well worth it. Well worth it. For what it's worth, I do consider the resumption again of Magic Key sales to be a favorable sign in the bigger picture for a lot of different things that are happening in the Disneyland Resort. Namely situations like the reservation system. That the more that they keep bringing back these Magic Keys, the more we drift towards a no reservation system or a dissolution of the reservation system. And even better news in that regard, and better news for guests in Florida, they have begun reselling annual passes in Florida as well at Walt Disney World, that might be even bigger news because they have been dead frozen for a while. I think only the locals could get one and only one pass, if I recall, but they have opened them up to everybody. And that is another sign that Disney's trying to loosen things up a little bit. Annual pass sales in Florida, while the annual pass isn't as valuable in Florida, they're not as important to the economy of Walt Disney World, it is a sign that they're trying to loosen things up just a little bit. Iger did say, though, in the shareholders meeting that they're not going to bring back that platinum pass. I think that's what it was called.
Watch all your videos.
Oh, thank you guys. Thank you. The one where you could that would work between Disneyland and Walt Disney World. Not bringing that one back. He said there's no demand. I would have bought one. I would have bought one, but that's okay. I've been a couple times now, and I want to go back again. And it's a nice way to save maybe a little bit of money on tickets. I don't know how often I would be able to use it, but I'm considering it. That's the Star Wars launch bay behind me here in Tomorrowland, although it won't be exclusively the Star Wars launch bay for very long. News broke a while back that they are updating it. They're going to turn it into a DVC lounge. Well, at least as far as I understand, the top floor of the launch bay building is going to become a DVC lounge. Bottom floor is going to remain whatever the heck it is right now, which that's a point we can get to in a minute. But Disney recently revealed that we have an opening date and a name for the DVC lounge. Opening date is going to be April 19th, which is just about a week from now. And the name will be Starview Station, and its design, its interiors are inspired by, the original vision that Walt had for Tomorrowland. Now, I appreciate that tremendously. I appreciate that a lot. And I mean, while the interiors do look like that, I am kind of, as I reported initially, I was kind of unimpressed. I mean, it's nice, it's great. I love the fact that they've got the concept art from Herb Ryman and John Hench and Mary Blair, which is fantastic. And I believe the details also included that the spacesuit that one of the cast members wore in the park when Tomorrowland first opened is going to be there as well. That's great. It's just, it feels like it's a little thin on actual design elements, the carpeting. I'm not crazy about the color scheme. I don't want to nitpick. I'm just saying, when you compare it to the DVC lounge that they have at Epcot, at Walt Disney World, theirs is super nice. Now this is the first DVC lounge we have here, or have had here at Disneyland. And they've earned it. Those DVC guys, they spent a lot of money on these hotels and they've earned it. And it's coinciding nicely with the opening of the DVC villas at the Disneyland Hotel. I think we're a couple of months away from those openings. So the timing is right. The timing is just right for that. As for any additional amenities you might get in there, I think it's just a comfy place to sit. It's a cold place to relax during the hot summer months. There's free drinks, free soft drinks I hear, so that's pretty cool. They got Wi-Fi and charging stations. That's always a plus because finding a place to charge your phone at Disneyland if you don't have fuel rods or anything of that nature can be a challenge. I mentioned that it's the top floor only. Interesting. I don't know what they're doing with the bottom floor, but it does leave open, I guess, for the possibility that the Avatar experience could go there, the one we're talking. I feel like that's kind of reaching, but the fact that they are using just the top floor is a curious. I guess they can't fill the whole place. They can't fill the whole building. That's a pretty good sized building, and you're unable to find enough things to put in there to occupy both the upper and the lower floor. But again, it leaves open for question, so what are they doing with the rest of the building? It also sort of puts a kibosh, which is dovetailing nicely with the Star Tours news. It's putting a kibosh a little bit on any sort of future for a new Tomorrowland. The fact that they're putting money, they put money into Nemo, they're putting money into Star Tours, they put money into the Launch Bay building. They don't do those three things in the aggregate if they have plans in the future, the near future, for Tomorrowland. So take that for great news for DVC members. Not so great news for folks who are hoping for a great big beautiful Tomorrowland here anytime soon. I don't think that's going to be the case. 3:30 on a Sunday, literal walk-on. Star Tours. People are just walking, turning right, going right into the attraction. That's a 5-minute wait. You can't see it, but that's a 5-minute wait. While we're here, let's go in. Let's talk about Star Tours and the news that just broke today. As I record this, the news just broke today at Star Wars Celebration. You might remember during D23, Josh D'Amaro or whomever he had on with him talked about there being some new scenes coming to Star Tours. I'm not sure why they felt like that was necessary, but nonetheless, that was the announcement today at Star Wars Celebration. They have confirmed that there are new scenes coming to Star Tours. New scenes, new places, new locations that some of which they said we've never been before. Now, two things to observe there. First, places we've never been before anywhere in a Star Wars, not in any film or in Star Tours itself, or maybe even a video game, I'm not sure, but also they said some, which suggests that there are many locations coming to Star Tours, many new ones. Now, I can only assume that they've decided to add these new scenes because of the tremendous demand that Star Tours is. I'm sorry, I can't even finish that thought. There's so little demand for Star Tours. I'm unsure why they felt compelled to do this unless they have stuff on standby, like waiting to be installed. And I suppose it's just a plug-and-play situation, that it's a simple matter of syncing the ride mechanics with what you see on screen. So it's probable, likely, that it doesn't require a whole lot of budget to add these scenes. From this, we can also glean that Star Tours is here to stay for at least a little while. They wouldn't do this, I don't think, if they had some other plans for this attraction besides it being here for the next 10 years or so. And that actually dovetails nicely with what they just recently did with Finding Nemo. So I don't think that there is or are any plans for Tomorrowland for a while based on this information. I know that, I tend to read it a lot. Anytime something happens in Tomorrowland, I always see it through that filter. Like, what does that mean for the future of Tomorrowland? This does not bode well for a new Tomorrowland, a future of a new Tomorrowland.
Watch it, especially you. And you. Not you, but now I am.
You are no match for the power of the dark side.
I joke about the 5-minute standby and the lack of demand for Star Tours, but there is still, a very loyal fan base for this attraction. And every time I ride it, it's remarkable that there are people who are like, oh my God, that's amazing. This thing is 20, 30 something years old. And this thing is still enduring. It's still enduring, so much so that they felt compelled to create new scenes. Now, I suppose the question that I would ask, and I'm sure others have or would like to ask this question as well, is if Star Tours has earned, more additional scenes, what about Smuggler's Run? We were supposed to get multiple scenes for Smuggler's Run, or multiple iterations of the attraction. Maybe not new scenes, but a different story, a little bit of a different story. But we've got nothing. We've had the same story for that attraction since the park, or since the land opened. At some point, there's got to be fatigue, right? Like, you're gonna I can't do the same thing, all you can ever get is 2 canisters, one or two canisters. The idea of there being 3 is impossible. The idea of failing the mission is impossible. I don't like that part of Smuggler's Run. I don't like the fact that it's the same exact thing every single time. Now, you could argue that Space Mountain is the same exact thing every time, but that ride is not a simulator. The thrill, the enjoyment of Space Mountain is the actual roller coaster part of it. Smuggler's Run, the whole selling point was that they were putting you in the story, in the action. That was the thing that they were trying to sell you. Have they? Did they? So, okay, great. We're gonna get Star Tours new scenes
Can we talk? Can we start working on Smuggler's Run a little bit? Forgot to mention, they're talking about these new scenes arriving here at Disneyland at our Star Tour sometime in 2024. That's a big fat window, but no sooner than that anyway. And it'll also be at Magic Kingdom, well, Hollywood Studios and Disneyland Paris. And there's a reason why I took that circuitous route to the Hyperion Theater here at, well, it's DCA, because the Hyperion Theater now could be said to be part of Avengers Campus now, or is it still Hollywood? That's a great question. Is this Avengers Campus, or is this Hollywood? Hollywood Land? In either case, we're here to report, as you might have seen by the sign, that Rogers the Musical is going to open here at the Hyperion Theater on June 30th. That's not that far away, you guys. It's not that far. It makes me wonder how long they've been working on this. The update from Disney suggests that this is going to be a one-act play, which one could infer, if it's one act, where there are normally 3 in a typical production, a one-act play suggests about a third of the length of your typical show here at the Hyperion, so maybe a 10-minute show. My guess is they're going to do the number, that I Can Do This All Day number, and maybe that's it and take care. I don't know. I'm hoping for a little bit more, but really that's what people fell in love with, obviously, was that number. And maybe they'll show not just the clips of it as they did in the Hawkeye show, but maybe the entire number. Because I'm sure a whole number was written, you know, a whole scene was written and choreographed and everything. We just haven't seen it all. And as we reported in a prior construction update, they've restored the signage for the mezzanine, the balcony, and the orchestra sections. So they're going to go back to the old way of, well, I guess they never really left that way, of queuing guests for the Hyperion. Just a big pen for people to just sort of group in, and then it's like kind of a free-for-all into each individual section. Now, if memory serves, you kind of you queue up through here. There's going to be 1,000 people in this building, I'm guessing. I'm not sure what the exact number is. So it's just kind of, like I said, it's a pen. So like this whole area that I'm standing in right now will be full of, I don't know, balcony or orchestra or mezzanine, I'm not sure. And then this is a pen, another pen. And this is probably the orchestra. I'm guessing they'd have that up at the front. But each one of these would hold just a whole ton of guests, and expect it to be busy. Expect it to draw a large number of crowds. People haven't seen a show here at the Hyperion in literal years. So they're thirsty for whatever Disney has to offer at the Hyperion Theater. And so I would expect there to be a lot of demand. I'm not sure if they did. I think they might have done Lightning Lane in the past or Fast Pass, but I'm not sure. They haven't said anything yet as far as, you know, what they're going to do this year. But do expect there to be a lot of demand for this. Do expect a lot of competition. You may have to sit here in one of these pens for 30, 40 minutes, an hour perhaps. I remember sitting here for long periods of time waiting for the Aladdin show. So, and for oh my gosh, when the Frozen show debuted, yeah, we waited a solid 45 to an hour before the show started. So be prepared for that. But the good news is that, you know, one of the reasons why a lot of folks chose not to go to the show after a while, the shows at the Hyperion, was that you lost a solid hour and a half of your day, 2 hours of your day, because of the hour wait plus another 45, you know, minutes for the show itself. So you're getting a short show, a brief 10-minute show here probably. I'm just guessing, by the way. That's my guess. One act play, that's telling me like 10 minutes as far as Disney centers go. I wonder if they're going to be able to keep the Sunset Boulevard station active back here, if they're going to have a whole mess of crowds, you know, congregating around the Hyperion Theater. I almost feel like that's not possible at this point. There's going to be a lot of guests in this neighborhood come June 30th. Note also the sign says limited time. How long that is, what is limited, who could say, but it's certainly not going to be a permanent installation here at the Hyperion. Infer from that they might have other plans for the Hyperion Theater, another show to follow this one. It could be that they're using this one as a stopgap, a filler, until they can finish whatever other show they're planning to do. You know, the restoration of Aladdin, perhaps, or something like that. You know, we could blue sky that. Actually, that's not blue sky, is it? That's that's a redo. Nothing new there. But still, I think that returning Aladdin would be a very popular decision. And finally, breaking news. As of this morning, Disney has finally confirmed a closing date for Splash Mountain here at Disneyland. The attraction's last day of operation will be May 30th and will be closed effective May 31st. May 30th is the last day of operation. It'll be closed on May 31st. We had estimated the closing date to be around June, so we're off by a couple days, but it does confirm reporting that we had heard from other sources, namely that Disney was waiting for specific crews to finish their work on Splash Mountain at Walt Disney World. Now, it may seem backwards to close a water ride right at the beginning of summer, but I'm certain of two things in this regard. One, Disney wants this job complete as soon as possible, even if that means closing the attraction in June. Waiting until it cools down, that could be, another 5 or 6 months as the heat in Southern California lasts well into October and often into November. Two, it doesn't really matter when they close the attraction, as it's going to be down for somewhere between 1 and 2 years we're looking at. So it's not going to be just a few months that it's closed. It's going to be closed for a while. You're going to miss some summer. In fact, it's possible that the expected refurb time could be scheduled so that it coincides with a future warm weather time. They want it ready before the next warm weather period. In either case, I'm pretty sure they know what they're doing. Meanwhile, Disney also provided some new concept art showing that Mama Odie will be featured in the new attraction. In fact, it sounds like she'll be a guide of sorts, as the update mentions that the 200-year-old Bayou fairy godmother will be joking with guests along their journey, suggesting more than one appearance. And we know already that at least one of those locations will be at the very top of the hill just before the drop, as we've seen her lights in the model, the lights that you can see in the concept art, those lights you can see in the model shown at D23, right at the top of that, at the lift hill or before the drop. Disney also added that Jennifer Lewis, voice of Mama Odie from the film, will again lend her voice talents to the updated attraction in both Disneyland and the Magic Kingdom. And there's more. Disney confirmed that there will be a brand new cast of original Disney characters with distinct names and personalities, dozens of new audio animatronics, adorable critters, new original music, and they will be piping in the smell of beignets. So that's exciting. I'm really looking forward to this. I feel fairly confident that Disney is going to give this one a little extra. Fingers crossed, at least. I'm looking forward to this. Stay tuned to Fresh Baked for more. And that is our news update for the Disneyland Resort. Good stuff. We got Magic Key sales back on again. We got new stuff happening at Tomorrowland. New scenes at Star Tours. Who saw that coming? Well, I guess anybody who went to D23 might have. And we have an update on Rogers the Musical. Good stuff. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time. Be safe out there. Be kind to one another. Fresh Baked.